I think we can hear so much bad news out of Uganda between the anti-gay laws and child soldiers and everything, that it just becomes this kind of tsunami of depression that wafts over us, and we kind of forget what the original genesis of the problems were. Can you just take us back to the Civil War?
It's interesting that you say that you mentioned that, because I think in some people there is a resistance to even want to help in Uganda because of the, you know, the anti-gay and the. But you have to remember that this is localized to an issue about rehabilitating children, and it's not
the
about
kids'
going
fault.
after the
going
after the government. We'll get to that later. I mean, that's something I have in my mind. But
so remind us of what went on in the 80s and what the ramifications of that were for kids.
Well, I was just saying to someone the other day that I feel like it's been a real challenge for me to help raise awareness and money for this cause, because when you say the term child soldier, people have an image in their head, but I don't think it necessarily conjures the reality. And it's really more harrowing than you can imagine, than anything I could imagine. I have a 10-year-old boy, and if you're sensitive, you shouldn't listen to this, but imagine if your 10-year-old child or nephew or cousin or whatever were abducted on their way home from school, and the children, the brainwashing techniques, when a child tries to escape, for example, oftentimes they would bring that child back, have the other children kill him, chop him up, boil him, and force those children to eat him, their friend. Or they've been forced to come into their own homes and kill every member of their family. So in the sense, you know, it is an apt term, brainwashing. They're sort of washing these children's slate. They have nothing to go back to. They have nothing to hold on to.
So just take us back. Who's the they in that locution?
Well, the LRA, you know, it's Joseph Kony, and I mean, it is coming from a lot of different places. It's not as clear cut to track. You know,
it's a chaotic place. Yeah.
It's massive chaos, and there is no order to this particular chaos.
How old are these kids that we're talking about?
You know, they can be as young as 7, and you know, a 7-year-old holding. I have a 7-year-old, you know, holding a gun, and my dear friend Okello Sam, who started the school that I'm trying to help, he was abducted 14 on his way home from school. And he was lucky enough to escape, and he's started a life, and he's given me a new life in a sense, and he's dedicated his whole existence, everything to helping these children and giving them a chance, because what's already happened to them is so unspeakable and unfathomable. It is literal hell on earth.
One of the criticisms that we see when we surf around online about some of this stuff is people saying, well, doesn't charity start at home? What about all the children here in America who are doing it tough? Why are you focusing on Ugandan kids?
That's a legitimate question, but I mean, to me...
You're more generous to them than I would be. I don't think it's that legitimate.
Well, I do understand the sentiment behind it. I mean, if I can be so corny as to say the earth is our home, I don't feel that a child, because of proximity, makes them any less deserving than any other child. But to answer that question, I have done a lot for children's charities in this country. You know, Jumpstart Literacy for Children, lots of different charities.
Yeah,
but this one you have to be particularly noisy about, because people don't understand it, and it's very difficult to get funding there and to get help to these children. Here, it's you know, there is an infrastructure here. It's easier to. It's not easy, but it's easier to start a literacy campaign for children. You know, I'm talking about just getting them pencils in Uganda, you know, so it's.
And let's face it, there are different categories of problem. I mean, there are different levels of problem. Until we see kids in Cleveland at the age of 7 being recruited into militia gangs and given machine guns and told to slaughter their families en masse,
murder their mothers.
Then there's there are different criteria.
Every set atmosphere is reflective of the material you're working on. So this atmosphere is totally raunchy, totally crazy, high energy, high intensity.